So on the matter of the number of years, sounds like it's nitpicking, but somebody can bore a hole into your confidence in Scripture by saying, well, how would they miss this? You show your scholarly research by just using the resources I've got. I'm not a scholar. I've got great resources. Those are the scholars. So at the time of Abraham's descendants moving from Canaan to live in Egypt in the land of Goshen, the party consisted of Jacob, 130 years old, all his descendants and their wives. This group included Levi and his son Kohath, the ancestors of Moses, as well as Joseph as his descendants, who went there beforehand, and their wives, who had arrived in Egypt 39 as a slave 9 years earlier, as a result of the treachery his brothers imposed upon him. Look at Genesis 37, 12 to 36. Remember the well and the sacred coat and everything else. Okay, so Genesis 46, 1 to 34. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to God of his father Isaac. Israel, the new name for Jacob. Then God spoke to Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. And so he said, I am God, the Father of your father, the God of your father. And do not fear to go down to Egypt, for I will make you a great nation there. There's the beginning of the sojourn into Egypt. I will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also surely bring you up again, and Joseph will put his hand on your eyes. And then Jacob arose from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob, their little ones, and their wives, in the 2 carts which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. So they took their livestock and their goods, which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went to Egypt, Jacob and all his descendants with him, his sons and his sons' sons, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his descendants he brought with him to Egypt. Now these were the names of the children of Israel, Jacob and his sons who went to Egypt, Reuben and Jacob's firstborn. They have Reuben, Hanok, Palu, and all the sons and the names, the sons of Levi, sons of Judah, and so on. All the names. We want the math. Let's do the math. All the persons who went with Jacob to Egypt, who came from his body, besides Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 persons in all. Okay, and the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2 persons. So we're doing some math here. There's another discrepancy. All the persons of the house of Jacob who went to Egypt were 70. Then he sent Judah before him to Joseph to point out before him the way to Goshen, and they came to the land of Goshen. So Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel, and he presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. And Israel said to Joseph, Let me die, since I have seen your face, because you are still alive. Then Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and say to him, My brothers and those of my father's house who are in the land of Canaan have come to me. And the men are shepherds, for their occupation have been to feed livestock, and they have brought their flocks, herds, and all that they have. So it shall be, when Pharaoh calls you and says, What is your occupation? That you shall say, Your servant's occupation has been with livestock from our youth, even till now, both we and also our fathers, that we may dwell in the land of Goshen. Now get this, for every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. Affliction. Note above that the persecution of the descendants of Abraham in Canaan continued in Egypt, as it is evident from the fact that the Egyptians felt it was a great abomination to associate with Hebrews, even Joseph, despite Joseph's number 2 authority in Egypt in those days. Compare Genesis 43:32. So they sent him, Joseph, when he was in Egypt, a place for himself, by himself, and them, Joseph's brothers, by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with them by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. This persecution increased after Joseph died, and there arose a new king over Egypt. It culminated in the attempted destruction by Pharaoh of the Hebrews, male babies, during Moses' infancy. Thus the sojourning and ill treatment occurred from the time that Isaac was weaned in Canaan, and Ishmael began scoffing at him, through the Israelites sojourning in Egypt, where they were thought of and treated as an abomination. It's confirming all of this. I'm going to try this to explode this up a little bit. Let me get a text. treated as an abomination. And when we blow it up, you'll be able to find it. There you go. And it's a little bigger. You might be able to read this a little bit better. It goes just about covers the screen. So you got a total, see this? 430 years. Exodus, beginning at the original call of Abraham, 430 years. Year 25, Isaac born. Jacob born year 85. Year 100, death of Abraham. Birth of Joseph, year 176. Isaac dies, year 205. Jacob dies, 232. Joseph dies, 285. Moses born, 350. And then we have the Exodus time. And we have 215 years from here to here, Egypt. But what happened before that? 215 years, Canaan. So the year 215. Remember, Joseph sold by Ishmaelites in year 193. Isaac weaned Hagar Ishmael, year 30, and the scoffing. So we have that chart. That seems to prove out the fact that the scriptures are correct when properly interpreted. So I think Stephen goes off to a new subject. There was somewhat of a discrepancy as to how many descendants originally went to Egypt. We'll do that next time. In the meantime, let's move on